For our guest today, we have Ms. Maria Alvarez. She is the Public Affairs Specialist, and she's here today to share with us information about Social Security, and what she has said to us in prior interviews was very informative. So really, guys, look up and listen to what's going on, and she's here to help not only veterans, but everybody. So, Ms. Maria, it's nice to have you on board again one more time.
Pleasure. Thank you,
Okay,
Greg.
okay. Well, look, I know you wanted to start off with some type of work program, work benefits or whatever. So just go into that, and I'll just ask questions as I
Please
see
do.
what goes on.
Please do. Well, one of the things that we at Social Security encourage people to do is to get back to work if they are able to do so. We have in place what we call work incentive programs that the purpose and the goal of these programs is to take away the fear of losing benefit just because you attempt to go back to work or do some work. Maybe not go back full time, but maybe take a little part-time job to see if you're able to get back to work. And that's exactly what our work incentives programs do. Many of these programs are in place, and I'm going to provide a phone number. Let me go ahead and give that to you. 1-885-877-8599. If anyone is receiving any of our benefits, whether it's Social Security disability or SSI disability,
Yes.
we have some folks at that phone number that can advise you on working while disabled, how working may or may not affect your benefit. But for the most part, if you take part in one of these work incentive programs, you can pretty much work and not lose your benefits because you attempt to work. You're
Right.
given a certain period of time where you can work and have it not affect your benefit, etc. So we encourage folks to look into that program by calling that phone number. You can sit down one-on-one with a person who can tell you a little bit more detail about each of those work incentive programs. Like I said, whether you're receiving SSI disability or Social Security disability. I do want to caution folks, though, if you do want to work, you do need to report that to us immediately once you
Yes.
start working.
I know about that.
Because it's easy to become overpaid if you
right.
fail to do so.
Yeah.
So let us know that you're going back to work after you have called that number and become more informed of how work affects you. With Social Security disability, you have a 9-month trial work period where you can basically work and earn any amount that you want for 9 months without it affecting your
amount?
benefits. It only counts as a trial work month if
Okay.
you earn over $840. Okay,
A month.
so if you earn over $840, it counts towards one of those 9 months in your trial work period.
Yeah.
After that, it does start affecting you.
Right.
But it doesn't count as one of your 9 months unless you earn over $840.
Yeah.
After that trial work month, you have an additional 36 months where you can work, and only benefits that are affected if you earn over $1,170 a month. This is all kind of complicated information.
is.
That's why we recommend that folks call that number that I gave previously and get someone to sit with you and go over those numbers to make sure that you're not going to go over any limits which might cause you to be overpaid.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was in that situation. Okay, I was working with the state, and this is where I was only able to make $800 a month over whatever I was receiving. But that month, the Social Security system sent paperwork to my employer, the accountant, not knowing how Social Security works. She put something down there saying I received way over $800. And of course, you guys contacted me. I said, no. I have to go back and go back with my accountant, get all my paperwork, said, this is where it comes between earned income and what amount of money you actually that you receive.
That's right.
And that's where it comes into play, because
Yes.
if you go above that, then think about it first before you do that. Try to stay within that margin.
That's right. We don't
Yeah.
want folks to become overpaid and then us have to reduce the benefit check to get
get
some
it
of
back.
that money
Yes.
back. So that's why that number that I mentioned is great. That is the work incentives program assistance number. Here in this area, it's run by the Advocacy Center, and it's people, an organization that's funded by Social Security to provide one-on-one information to workers.
Okay. Well, look, this is going to end this first segment, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Bye-bye. We're back with Miss Alvarez, and I believe she's going to pick up where she left off after the last segment. So, Miss Alvarez, it's up to you. You're giving us a lot of good information.
Yes. We talked about Social Security disability and how work relates to that. We talked about work incentives and how people can take advantage of these programs when they want to work. They don't have to go in with the fear of losing benefits, and then if they can't continue to work, well, then they're left out in the cold.
Yes.
That's the purpose of these work incentives. It's kind of like a security blanket for people who want to attempt to work
Right.
and not lose benefits. So let me continue with SSI, because as we mentioned earlier, SSI is a needs-based program. So the way work affects an individual receiving SSI benefits is a little more direct than with Social Security disability. With SSI, we exclude $85 a month of your earnings, and then half of the remaining amount actually reduces your SSI check. So let me give you a simple example of what I mean.
To do that. Kind of lost me a little bit there.
Okay, let's say
Okay.
I gross $185 in a month. I'm
Okay.
doing a little part-time work. Social Security doesn't even count the first 85. So as
Okay.
far as Social Security is concerned, I earned $100
$100
that month. Half of that, or $50, is what is actually going to reduce my Social Security check. So if my Social Security check this year, it's $735, and that's the highest SSI you can get. My $735 SSI check is only going to be reduced by $50, even though I grossed $185 that month.
Okay.
This is kind of a hard concept sometimes for people to grasp, because all they really are hearing is your SSI check's going to be reduced.
That's right.
But keep in mind that even though your SSI check is reduced somewhat between what you're earning and the Social Security, the SSI check, you're still going to have more disposable income during the month than if you didn't work at all.
Okay.
So what it boils down to is that if you get SSI, even though any work over $85 a month is going to reduce your check a little bit, we count less than half of your gross earnings against your SSI check.
Okay.
Okay?
So SSI disability and SSI.
And Social Security
and
disability.
Social Security
Correct.
disability and the supplementary disability, two different things.
Absolutely.
And I think this is where we get a hard time, like you said, understanding
Correct.
what the differences are.
Correct.
And this is why I'm glad we're doing this.
Absolutely.
And I really appreciate the
My
administration to do this with me.
My pleasure.
So
My
go
pleasure.
ahead, take a break.
And that's why it's important too that we recommend the work incentives program and assistance folks at the Advocacy Center. because they can sit down one-on-one with an individual that's interested in working, let them know the details of their unique situation, because there's 100 different scenarios that we could talk about, Greg.
Right.
But the wonderful aspect of the work incentives program and assistance folks is that they just bring it down to your situation, and that's what you can focus on. So some other work incentives that we have, whether you're receiving Social Security Disability or SSI, is an expedited reinstatement process, where if for whatever reason you go through your trial work period, you go through your extended period of eligibility, and you do lose benefits because you are working and earning over all these limits,
right.
If you have to stop working because of your condition that you were approved for, you don't have to file a new claim. In many cases, you could take advantage of this expedited reinstatement work incentive, where we could basically reinstate your benefits without going through the whole application system all over.
Well, I tell you what, I know for myself, okay, I got the incentive program, go back to work, you know, and because I was disabled, I went to a lot of employers, and once they found out that I was disabled, they didn't tell me it was because of my disability, but they did not hire me, okay? So I'm saying that to say this: don't stop, because you never know the person or the company that you're going to get involved with is looking for somebody like you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This brings me to an excellent point. You jogged my memory, Greg, because with these work incentive programs, you get help finding employment, you get job training, you get rehab services. So to that point that you were making, you're put in contact with people that from the get-go know you're disabled and want to hire you.
Right.
Okay? So it kind of cuts that out. When you take advantage of the work incentive programs, they put you in touch with organizations that know you're working with a disability but still want to hire you.
Well, this is going to end this second segment here. We'll be back. We're back with Mrs. Alvarez. She's going to pick up where she left off from this last segment, and I'm going to give her the floor one more time.
Thank you, Greg.
Go for it.
Something else I would like to mention is that not only when you take advantage of Social Security's work incentive programs, do you not lose benefits immediately just because you attempt to go back to work, you do not lose medical benefits. And I'm sure, Greg, you can understand the value of that.
Yes.
Sometimes people would rather lose a cash benefit than to lose their medical benefits, because in many cases, that's more costly to them. If you lose your Medicare or your Medicaid benefits because you lose your benefits, you're in big trouble.
That's right.
Exactly. You can no longer, care for your condition without
right.
that medical assistance. So that's another good reason to take advantage of these work incentive programs that Social Security has in place. We've already said, if you want to go back to work, call the work incentives program and assistance, and the next thing you have to do is, if you do start to work, let us know immediately.
Well, I tell you what, I know when I was in that situation, okay, I developed a relationship with my agent for Social Security, and she understood my situation, and anything that happened to me, I always reported to her. It got to the point where she knew me by my, oh, that's you, Greg. Okay, what else you got on the thing? What else is happening to you,
Absolutely.
But sometimes it's good to get involved with someone on a personal basis. Not say personal basis, but more or less you ask for the same person over and over again, because you get you're more safe to, for they will understand more about what your problem is than having somebody else taking over.
Exactly.
Starting over again is kind of hard.
It is.
But
it
for
is.
me, when I was with this agent, even though I had problems, she was always, this is what we need to do
That's
and
good
help.
to hear.
So
That's good to hear.
I'm not saying that everything happened correctly all the time,
Right.
but you have to be involved
Absolutely.
with someone at the same time, listen to what they're saying
Absolutely.
and understanding what they're saying.
And,
So-
and something else that sometimes happens, Social Security deals with literally millions of cases.
Yes.
And even though you report your earnings, a lot of times that lag period between the time you actually earn those that income, and we are able to, put it on your record. Sometimes that causes an overpayment.
Okay.
And I want folks to understand that sometimes overpayments will occur because of this delay in putting this information on your record. Specifically for SSI, we count your earnings and you report those earnings to us after you've already earned them.
Right, right.
We pay you according to an estimate of
Right.
what you have told us you will probably earn.
Yes.
So it's very important that even though you have reported your work and we know that you're working, if there are any changes in what you're earning, if you get a bump up in your hourly rate, if your hours increase,
Everything is affected.
make sure you, like you said,
Yeah.
are in communication with your local office so that we can make those adjustments. And even though overpayments may occur, to keep them to a minimum so that it doesn't have a detrimental effect
Yeah.
on your finances.
Well, I
going
tell you what,
forward.
I do know, I've run across some individuals, and they did get overpayment. And I would provide information to them or give them advice. Don't spend the extra amount, okay, because it'll come back to hurt you. And a lot of them say, well, I got it, I'm gonna spend it, and I'll just deal with it. And then when it comes time, you see the check decrease by a certain amount, you wanna get angry. But if that's the case, either you don't spend it or you contact your agent saying, look, I got overpayment. What is this? If it's overpayment, then fine, I'm not gonna touch it.
Correct,
Okay?
correct. It's better to be informed than to have to, pay back
Yes,
on
it
the
hurts.
backside. Because, and unfortunately, we have to take it back by law. And unfortunately, Greg, if you have an overpayment on your record and you're due some type of back pay or increase
all
in the
going.
future, it's going to be taken
Yes.
out. And in many cases, they can even withhold some of your tax return.
Yes,
Think about this, it's all the federal government.
Yeah.
If you owe us money and we owe you money, for the most part, we're gonna take back what you've been overpaid before we pay you
Yeah, yeah.
any amount we owe you.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind
Well,
too, to prevent
I'll
any
tell you, the thing
overpayment.
is that I found that overall, really, people who are getting Social Security or applying for Social Security, they really don't want to do it the right way.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying everybody's going to keep the money, but the thing is, though, just be upfront with your Social Security agent, and they will make things good for you overall.
Absolutely.
And I hate to say this, but this is coming to the end of the show, and I want to thank Ms. Alvarez for doing the show, and I'm hoping to look forward to the next one. Thank you.